and we're back. I'm excited about this one. It's gonna be something different. It's a little less serious, a little bit more fun, and I get to talk about an amazing deal I got and hopefully ways that you guys can replicate it and do something similar. So I'm gonna talk about how I owned my Maserati for $125 a month. That's it. $125 a month. And I owned it for almost 2 years, got to drive around, had a ton of fun with it, and yeah, let's get right into it. So basically, this is going to be more a video on purchasing, negotiations, and patience than anything. There's no real crazy tricks here. It's basically those things. And this could be done for a variety of different luxury cars. It doesn't have to be this one specifically, but I found that this was the deal that best suited me. So the car itself, it was a 2015 Maserati Ghibli SQ4. So it was the top trim model plus the previous owner basically decked it out, had the premium sound system, premium wheels, premium everything he possibly could. So this car ranges from like $80,000 to $100,000, and the one he purchased was just under $100,000 because he basically had the works done. So, you know, it was $100,000 originally. That is not anywhere near what I purchased for it. I purchased the car when it was 2 years old, and I purchased for a lot less. So with this, there was a few criteria I was looking for in finding the perfect deal, the perfect car. And the first one was a distressed seller, someone who needed to sell the car right away, ideally for cash, was in some kind of financial trouble or some reason why they needed to sell right away. Second, a car with under 20,000 miles on it, but not 0 miles on it, because all luxury cars, basically, as soon as there's any amount of miles on it, the price just drops basically immediately. So those are two criteria that I was looking for. I was willing to be patient and kind of sit out deals and you know, just wait for the right one to come across my lap. And basically, it took about a month or two of looking at deals and patiently waiting. This car, when I was looking, was in the range of mid 40,000 to low 50,000 for the exact car I was looking for. The one that I ended up coming across was listed for $47,000 and titled that it needed to be sold quickly. So this was perfect for me. I went and met with the seller, and you know, it was the car that I wanted. Knew that he wanted to sell it quickly, and he was just basically like, I need to sell this right now, make me an offer. And I did. I made him a lowball offer, and this offer was meant to be the anchor. It was meant to just kind of set a low price, and then we'd negotiate off of that. And he actually just took my lowball anchor offer, and I offered him $31,000. The car had 16,000 miles on it, and he took the deal. He was like, you know what, that's fine. I own the car outright. I just need the cash right now. I'll make the deal. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll make that deal. And this isn't something that I normally would purchase. I never spend really money on myself at all. I own like 10 shirts, and half of them are my company logoed shirts. But I figured I was at a point where I had worked basically tirelessly on my businesses for like 4 years straight with literally no break, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna treat myself. I'm just gonna buy something nice and basically see how I like it. See what happens if I buy myself, you know, something luxurious. So I did, I bought it, and I loved it. There's a lot of reasons why I chose this car specifically. One of the big reasons was it was just different. You don't see them around very much. The noise is just amazing. The noise of the engine is insane. You really can't beat like a stock Maserati engine. I mean, unless you're like looking at like supercars and stuff like that. I'm not claiming this to be a supercar or anything like that. It's a very affordable car that just isn't super popular and stands out. So that was a huge reason. Second reason is it comes with a 4-year bumper to bumper all-inclusive warranty. And after doing some research, I found that they are pretty true to that. And then to my experience, I realized that that is definitely the case. There was a few minor things that came up throughout the almost 2 years that I owned it, and the dealership was amazing at handling it. In one instance, the steering wheel was just slightly faded, and I mentioned it to them, and they're like, oh yeah, bring it in, we could probably do something for you. They swapped out the entire steering wheel free of charge, and I'm telling you, this was not a big deal at all. And they're like, yep, no problem, we'll do that. So they really took care of me, and so that was something I was really looking for. You know, if you're buying a nice car, hopefully you get that level service, and with Maserati, that was definitely there. It was amazing service. So in owning this car, the reason why it only cost me $125 a month is because I just recently sold this car. I sold it like 5 days ago. I sold it for $2,500 less than what I bought it for, and I put almost 20,000 miles on it. So I owned the car for 20 months, sold it for $2,500 less. That's $125 a month that it cost me. And I could get into the numbers even more and try and do some fancy math to show that it actually cost me less if I wanted to figure in using it as a business expense or depreciating the asset or comparing it to any other vehicle or anything like that. But this is just straight, that's how much it depreciated. And it really came down to being patient and buying it at the right time. Another thing with these luxury cars, there's not a huge market out there for people who are willing to purchase a luxury car from a private buyer. So that's another thing to consider if you are looking for a car. And you know, this one, for instance, there was like one that would come up every 2 weeks within like 300 miles from private sellers. So there wasn't a whole lot of people looking to buy these cars, which made it even easier to buy a used one. But on the corollary there, on the flip side, it makes it harder to sell these cars. So you also have to be patient with the price that you're selling it, but that makes it even more important to purchase it for a reasonable price. So purchased it for $31,000, sold it for $28,500. It took me about 6 weeks to sell it, which was fine because I absolutely loved driving it the whole time. So I was totally cool keeping it. The entire time I had the car, it literally cost me the price of 2 oil changes, which at the dealership, they're pretty expensive. They're a few $100s for an oil change. But other than that, no maintenance, nothing like that. And then the reason I got rid of it, there's quite a few reasons why I no longer have it anymore. One big one, the warranty was about to be up. There's about a month before the warranty was up, and I know that once warranties are up, things tend to break. It's how things work. So I didn't want to have to deal with that. I'm not in the business of keeping an older luxury car in good shape. I just wanted it, you know, something reliable, something fun to drive for the time being. And also a lot of maintenance is coming up soon. The brakes needed to be replaced. It's like $3,500 just to do the regular maintenance on the brakes. Belts needed to be replaced somewhat soon. Within the next year, that's like another $1,000. There's just a lot of little things that with a car like this, you're looking at a huge expense just for regular maintenance once they get past 4 or so years old. And then another one is a pretty big realization with myself that yes, I loved this vehicle. It was amazing to drive. Best car I've ever owned by far, both reliability and just drivability, fun factor. It was just an amazing car all around. But I realized with myself, and it was something that I knew from the get-go, this wasn't a vehicle I needed. It wasn't totally practical. It was a lot of fun in the time being, but it was always in the back of my mind because I was just concerned about it. Like, you know, I would have to park at the back of a parking lot and then think, is someone gonna door ding it? You know, just, that wasn't for me. I don't need more things to think about. You know, when you own something, it kind of owns you and you have to think about it. And yeah, you know, the appearances are nice, but that's not really my style either. I'd rather be low key, drive something cheap and surprise people, basically. Like, oh, really? That guy's successful? I would have never guessed. So that's much cooler, in my opinion, to just kind of be low key. And that's something I kind of had to learn for myself. But I feel like deep down, I already knew that. So I'm going to end up purchasing something cheap. And that's not to say that eventually I won't purchase something nice again, because, you know, I think it's good to like strive for those kinds of things. Like, if I reach this milestone, this is going to be how I treat myself. I tend to do that and then not treat myself. So this was a case of just actually treat yourself, do it, see if you like it. And I'm glad I did, because it was a cool experience. It'll be cool to say that I had that, and maybe if I have kids in the future, they'll be like, hey, that's dad with his car when he was 20. Just kind of a cool story too, and a great deal. So that was the biggest thing for me, was not only could I drive this car, but I drove it for an extremely cheap price, cheaper than a Toyota, basically. I couldn't find a deal like that for a more reliable car, simply because the market isn't there. People don't think to buy that kind of thing, because you think that brand, you think they're so expensive, but really in those fringe areas are where the deals can really be made, when there's not thousands of eyes looking at each specific deal. So at the end of the day, I'd rather spend my money on building and buying businesses, because that's what makes me satisfied at the end of the day. Having a thing doesn't necessarily make you satisfied more than like a few weeks. So really, this is a story of setting your criteria, sticking to it, buying low, and then selling wherever. If you make an amazing purchase, it's much easier to sell at a reasonable price later on and not just absolutely lose your butt on the back end. So until next time, thanks for watching.